benza sato samaya manu palaya benza sato tenopa tiskari no me bawa soto kayo me bawa soto chayo me bawa Anarato me bawa sarva siddhe me parayesa sarva karma sutta me siddham shiyam kuru ahara ho bangave sarva tata gata beza ma me beza beza bawa ma samaya sato
All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of the happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. I beseech the great Vajradhara, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Kampopa, Patmodrupa, Lord Chitam Sangan, at the feet of the root guru who possesses the three ways of kindness and all the root gurus and spiritual masters of the lineage, the Idams and Dhamma protectors. May your marvelous blessings permeate my mind.
Tanke tuje shajere sanjang yin jamba tade je konjong ba si jamba mboto shaje jarbe jawla ke zan za javar benje bola ka denje peman lan chong kolan den chong me tata long no simbe kanam orje rambo je la ke zan za shi zan kalan chin jang ko je de pu don de zelen la Jarwa Dimba Kona Sanze Kajuram Bojela Ke Sansa Jumeva Satuje Jampada Mandi Shivjang Bojata Tamjen Chimba Kumjin Jije Nyanin Dugorin Jinku Sansa Romi Juje Inja Purana Dudun Sanje Kunjang Oni Razin Jugong Zondon de Zaba Lama Shabla Kusansa Dasu Sinje Tamje Jalo Chusan Rora Sinje Labda So Chulamdan Rora Sinje Labda So Lantraba Sawa Sinje Labda So Traba Yizan Jawa Sinje Labda So Tani Toma de Chudo Samala Samju Tahidele Kijatan Layang Ansote Jarta Pachon Gauchons Ta Teranganso Yang Tambuchu Sajachimbo Ngadinyam Selim Parchibalatini Tomat Tini Hundos Chungi Leja Hundo Sabu Sumba Hinda Tini Tang Hundo Kola Mansutara Lobionski Yore Ngondro tela teni tomar de teni tumong hundos tumong hundo tela lodo number yes ta lodo seya te ta ngana so cendel shinjing chapa yorwa tele so lodo ne teni ngana so tambe chure so lonjo tu boyore desna teni lodo number yes pena ngana so ta cendel hajan shinjing cha 아야서더라 찍게선 거래 마짱와라 짱완진시 마타팔 타판진시 동하발 대완진시 tene dame pala da sin se tan do bin lo par to lo sin chi lo tene nga so jene tene tel tene tene nga so ta shin cha kenani tinin khowandena khogoyore then the lodo number yete ngati lobyon dang so se yong wala tin o dang ngana chone khowand ta duma jira yin ba mata ba yin ba tene machang wara yin ba 동지 찬네 거 돈당 거 찬네 때네 다드미 바인 바 어때는데 되게 나다 돈 내로 출기 하마오네 땅 코한테는 참선도사 달로도 넘바 유럽병 세발을 때네 되니 때를 철로도네 로버토 데 로텔을 철도네 되니 만나서 다 담배추 능조 담배추를 냠내세야 저 로조용 거를 때를 로도 넘바 예스 때 컨디션 파리 되니 투모 마이 Ngondro saying 되니 다른 안서 담보들 되니 공표선 당 안서 레짐들에서 하고 연구를 로도 넘바 해야 되니 되니 코도 하텔 탈고도 델레트니 잠초도 줘봐도 공표선이 뭐 하고는 되니 랑게 줄을 되니 대바 투모 마이 버전의 공표선 레전드를 이제는 되니 공표선 잡선 주네 되니 당 안서 초사 줍장세야 지금 다 초사 줍장세네 되니 다를 로신절로 또 대바 대다든지 파장거요다 되니 공조스는 잡선 중에 되니 초견 라서 받아서 다 잡선 주 잡여게 초견 산데 되니 될때는 되니 저 공조스는 잡선 중에 되니 랑게 룡아 이스는 거네 되니 대바 투모 많이 바랑게 줄을 째네 되니 잠도다 나게 잠도 이 기배되니 대바 되니 류급에더니 상사야 라서바 삼범사야 되네 대차드더니 랑게다 제와 처럼만 보는 사이야 버더니 레지 드파스기로 딕바도 뚱마스 딕바스는 랑게 레사야 봐 딕바 인바 마키는 딕바사야 봐 되네 희인드더니 딕바사야 봐 되네 뚱마스는 딕동스 뚱마스는 되네 소소게 양지 지 돈바다 탐색라서 봐 대다 탐지는 가성아 되는 동화시 다 너는 빅동 탐지되니 도르제셈바다 딕접 탐지 용퍼스 있다네 님포라 도르제셈바다네 냠메세 미그럼시네 되네 또솔페 냠메시네 되네 빅종하네 되네 도르제셈바 냠메시야 되네 란첸들 되네 신차제네 되네 텔레티네들이 랑게 베생게 나마더니 하장게 센나다 신차 차과치 뭐요래 신차 센나다다 너는 차과라서 받대다 탐지 파장을슬더니 저를 서수남사 시기도 되는 맛을 수남 삼게 뭐 잡아사야라더니 멘더 냠니스기요래 되는데 멘더 대양마서다 수나고 초사야 될 초미용도 미제수나고 초다 미미시게 초스 다 미제수나고 초스는 그냥게 류가 있으면 거네 되네 삼바상초 심지 지심부분에 류가 있으면 게와 강그바데다 탐지되니 미제수나고 초는도 다 미미시게 초선도 되네 맞다 남주 검자야 되네 삼바공야 민제공야 또니기 따와 상주지 생을 소보공야 다 대탐지되니 맥제스 민미 이식의 초순도 그래서 대답을 보내더니 초니 사안이더니 말하서 멘터 프야 멘터 장사야 또 소요와 또 소기야 되니 다동랑게 주도 종르게 누구여라 남중한서 주 중본도와 녀몬바 당 아제 박차 나서 받아서 되는 안진ging 가서 주제 가데는 주디 중보요래 주 중보다 주서 nd라시바 단 너드나 셈들고와 셈데 선들고디 다 셈들지 님보도 저 달라면 민아 코나는 되는 용고요와 대들라면 민아 코나 되는 용고도 달라면 민아도 저랑게 토파시발라 다 람 남저스 라면 남절 공부도와 라면 남절 공인데 라면 남절 써야 되나 저당 망고요 첫 돈다미 nen가로 첫도 용아이나 다 랑주 그 민아 먹을때라 토기 용어래 랑라 주를 다 먹을 셰퍼와지 요나 rangi tsabu lama la ngus sanje ki ngus sanje ngus jin dishi yu na te ta rangi mugur lama zepa chupa tamche sanje ngus jin zechu tabu rangi sen teni teni tepa ta tanang mugur samje maji aba yu na ta te nga mugur te yang che tam papa mugur tse ta di ma chaka yore te tabu mugur te ki teni teni rangi ju la lama sen lap ta son jo yung lama sen lam jo sen zo lama song so nga ki ting teni te ki teni rangi panang siya rwa teni lama ki teni zepa chupa tsa ting hakyang nga ki sengi teni depa tangwa chene teni tela teni rangi teni nyumumpa namdo tamchi panga teni te tani teni lama sinap tsu rangi jula teni juya tso yung goyo teni ti teni saja chimbo minga la soba tso tso hakoya toya tso yung goyo re ta nga tsu samba de ningje sancho ji sim la soba te tamji ya lama minga ki teni hako re te ya hako go no tambo te pa te tanang mugu cheparwa tso le teni tsu minga ta sinap tso ranga tso top goya tso yung goyo re tso ta tso nga tso kongdo 롭자 다 슌주바리 되는게 값을 봐봐라 되니 체벌 공로스 체벌 공로로 되니 기디오스
Dhamma friends, Dashidele, and so again, I'm very happy to see you today, and so we continue with teachings on the fivefold path of Mahamudra, the preliminaries to the fivefold path of Mahamudra. And now it is said that the preliminary practices are actually more profound than the main part practices. And so that is what we are learning right now. So we have already, to summarize what we have already covered. So we already spoke about the common preliminaries, which consists of the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And we reflect on these in order to turn our mind away from the clinging attachment to this life, and in order for our mind to turn toward the Dharma, to enter the Dharma, the practice of the Dharma. And so what happens when we cling to this life is that our perception becomes distorted, which means we see what is actually impure as pure, or what is actually impermanent as permanent, and so on. And we see what is actually suffering as happiness, and we see a self that doesn't actually exist. So that is this mind of this distorted, misperceiving mind. And it's because of this fixation to reality that we wander in samsara. So through learning about the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, we recognize that actually samsara is only suffering by nature, and it's actually impermanent, and it's something to turn away from. It's nothing desirable. And from the ultimate perspective, there is no self. So it's because we have not realized that we are wandering in samsara. And so through the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, we first turn our mind away from this misperception, and we enter the Dharma, and then we engage in Dharma practice. So we turn our mind away. So we already discussed that. And then, so these are the common preliminaries. And then next, we also discussed the 4 uncommon preliminaries, which begins with taking refuge in the 3 jewels. So first, through the 4 thoughts, we have learned about karma and that there is only suffering in samsara. So now we have a wish to become liberated from samsara. So with that wish, then we take refuge in the 3 jewels, and we cultivate an authentic devotion and trust, karma. So with that devotion, we follow the 3 jewels, and then we engage in practices in order to accumulate merit and purify obscurations. And by doing that, we are purifying this kind of misguided, misperceiving mind. So first, when we take refuge in the three jewels, we visualize the refuge tree, the refuge field, and then we take refuge with body, speech, and mind. So we recite the refuge prayer, and we cultivate faith in the three jewels in our minds, and with our bodies we offer physical prostration. For example, we accumulate 100,000 prostrations, and so we speak about these negativities and downfalls and so on that we have accumulated in all previous lifetimes. And the reason why we keep accumulating karma is because we don't recognize these to be negativities. So we don't recognize our action as misdeeds, and not knowing that, we accumulate karma. And sometimes also, even though we know that, we accumulate karma. So that is this term misdeed or negativity. And then downfall refers to like all the transgressions of vows and samayas and so on. So the antidote, or the way to purify these negativities and downfalls, is the practice of the deity Vajrasattva. So that's why we practice Vajrasattva. And then next, now we have this attachment to this life, this clinging to this life. And because of this, there's a lot of greed and a lot of desires in our mind. And to purify them, we also need to accumulate merit. And the greatest merit, greatest way to do that is to offer the mandala. So we generally speak about two kinds of accumulations. There is the kind of conceptual accumulation of merit, and then there is the non-conceptual accumulation of wisdom. So for the accumulation of merit, that refers to any virtuous thing that we do with body, speech, and mind, and also cultivating bodhicitta. And then for the non-conceptual accumulation of wisdom, that refers to practicing meditation and cultivating bodhicitta on the ultimate level, meditating on love and compassion, and seeing viewing emptiness, the empty nature. So these are those two accumulations. And so in order to gather these accumulations, we offer the mandala, we accumulate mandala offerings. And so then our minds are still very coarse, difficult to tame, because we have a lot of afflictive emotions and habitual tendencies, these habitual imprints in the mind. And that's why kind of on an ongoing basis, our mind is kind of in a kind of rough or coarse state. And that needs to be, this coarse mind needs to be tamed. So in order to do that, we practice the Guru Yoga. So for the Guru Yoga practice, we mainly rely on the essential instructions, the teachings that we receive from the Guru. And there, of course, there are many important points regarding that. But the most important point of the Guru Yoga practice, it all really comes down to devotion, to cultivate a genuine feeling of devotion. And that comes from seeing one's own root guru as the actual Buddha. And so seeing him as the Buddha, whatever the guru does, all of his activities, when we kind of view his activities, then I guess very special feeling of faith and inspiration and devotion and a pure view arise in our mind. So when that arises, that is called like authentic or genuine devotion. And then when genuine devotion has arisen, that is when the blessings of the Guru enter our minds. And mainly that means that we remember the teachings, the words of the Guru, and then we practice accordingly. We practice what needs to be practiced, and we give up what needs to be given up. And when we think of the Guru's activities, faith and devotion and an inspiration arises in our mind. And when that arises in the mind, then our ordinary afflictive emotions and thoughts come to an end, they stop. And that is when then the blessings of the Guru really enter our mind. And so for the Guru's instructions, we receive teachings on Mahamudra. So we first understand them, and finally we realize them. And then we cultivate love and compassion and bodhicitta. So basically, we really actualize the instructions that we have received from the Guru. And so to really understand this, the essence of the Guru Yoga practice, it is essential that one first cultivates a pure perception and faith and genuine devotion. And so about all of these points up until here, we've already spoke about these. And so today we will continue with the special preliminaries.
Jitang namju ngarang sokitachi sanjing je sanchu je sen de chikpang ro jin nga su ngun jin ro mangyo shik yena yang ta nga su chi lobjong sing ngune nyamni si de tes yang khoran so la yang dechi mandawa su yong ko do as de ndu dan do na sanji ji gongpang top go na ta sanchu je sen mi na tap mi ba res ta sanchu je sem go yo na sanchu je sem je go yo na lamsang nga so sanchu sem pop ske tu mu da as 가르즈는 가랑조다 제와 체람 망보네 되니 다 레다 박차 망부지 요라 셈게 나로라 메게바 박차 망부지 뇽무부 박차 망부지 근데 다다양 가랑조 디중 중당 되니 대게 대 뇽무바 대 왕게 되니 다랑 가랑조 심줄을 되니 메게바 남파토파 망부 요라 와시 람상 가랑조 산주지 셈 세야디 게 특고면 와시 대인도 때 산주지 셈 카톡게 말을 띵행나 담보 삼바 삼바케도 와시 삼바데 때스 레라오도 와시 삼바데 닌지 산주 셈셈나니 삼바데 때스 레 제야나 레라오요 요레 스탠데 되니 토마데 가서더니 삼바를 로비온시 되니 삼바 고야 좀 배수 치고 오래시 대인도 되니 단 너는 삼바데 학장 삼로 간이 땅와 이나야 삼바데 학장 게더니 내가 침보리 도스 다 산지지 공방토 보나요 담보 삼바 맞이는 용투고 못 왔어 첸더 당 알아서 첸더 그 되지 맞힌더 그나는 지 되지 삼로 땅와 이나 삼바데 제와데 미나 tingan 데와 되지 못 왔어 근데 삼바탄 제와서 다 삼바시야 돼 근데 학장게 내가 침보 첸더 신야로 학장게 내가 침보
So the special preliminaries consist of 3 points, that is to cultivate love, compassion, and bodhicitta. And so normally, like most of us, we tend to casually kind of see them all as the same thing. We don't really see big difference between the 3 of them. We basically use them interchangeably. But actually, when we really learn about them and really practice them, then there are actually some differences. There are different practices, actually, different categories. So if one, first of all, if one really wants to attain the state of enlightenment, then cultivating bodhicitta is indispensable. You can't attain enlightenment without it. But then if you want to cultivate bodhicitta, it's very difficult for us to just directly, just like that, at once cultivate bodhicitta. We can't do that. And the reason why we can't do that so easily is because, for many lifetimes in the past, we have habituated to a lot of negative karma, and we have a lot of karmic imprints, tendencies in our mind. We have many negative, non-virtuous, habitual tendencies and many afflictive emotions present in our mind stream right now. So that's why also right now this continuum goes on, and we are we are often under the power of our afflictive emotions. So in brief, our mind is filled with a lot of negative thoughts and afflictive emotions. And that's the reason why it's not so easy to cultivate bodhicitta just like that, instantly or directly. And so because we can't do that, we first must cultivate love, because cultivating love is a little bit easier than cultivating bodhicitta. Now, of those three, love, compassion, and bodhicitta, love is the easiest to cultivate. And that's why we first must make an effort in learning about it and then really practicing it. So in brief, if we really think about it, just this, the important point about love, of course, if we want to attain enlightenment, there's no way we can attain enlightenment without cultivating love. But even in this lifetime, if we think about this lifetime, the happiness of this lifetime, it's really impossible to experience real happiness in this life without that feeling of love and kindness toward one another. And so for this reason, in this life and in future lifetimes, cultivating love is a really important point.
돌아야 되기 때문에 삼바당 대화 친구 요리세야 가르를 세나 되는 거 참아 되기 도봐 기빠이 봐 동하면도 기빠를 왔어 대인도 빼나 되기 고나 되니 삼제도 고는 왔어 삼제도 요는 되기 대가랑 리도 왔어 가르를 세나 삼봉어 대화리도 삼징어 대화리도 대인도 되니 삼바도 제가 요나 뭐쓰이나 뭐지들 기보도 왔어 빼나 나서 묘몽반도 있는 해당도 지이나 코 뭐도 동아리도 와 차동도 지인 코 뭐도 동아리도 왔어 근데 삼바도 제와데 뭐도 코 대화리도 왔어 대인도 되니 나서 친들어야 되니 삼바도 학교에 내가 친구 나서 긍이 진리도 왔어 되니 따라 삼제에서야 돼 나서 하고 투야지레스 나는 참말이요 삼제대 나는 참말이요 맨나 해당대 나는 참말이요 차도대 나는 참말이요 삼제대 나는 참말이요 레스 얘는 효치종이요 효치종이요인데 대 효치종대 그냥 제왕 뭐 차 레단 되어요 젠돌라양 소소기지 삼노 땅땅가양 되어요 레스 되는 삼제에서야 된가 무송에 대처리 되는데 나쁘자 되니 공는 공팔다나 열레스
Love, how is love really directly related to our happiness in this life even? It's because we all have the same wish. We all want to be happy and we do not want to suffer. So that we all share in common. And if you want to be happy, you need to have love, because that feeling of love in itself is happiness. That itself is happiness. And so the very essence, the nature of love is happiness. So if you have love and if you're kind, then in this life, even anyone will be happy. And similarly, if there are afflictive emotions in the mind, for example, anger, the very nature of anger is unhappiness, is suffering. When you're angry, you're not happy. Or when you're jealous, the very nature of jealousy is also unhappiness. So even in this life, love or kindness are happiness. That's the nature of happiness. And so therefore, even in this life, we certainly need to cultivate love in order to be happy. So even just in this mundane sense, it's a very important point. And it is also something that we can understand, because we all actually have it. We all possess love. And likewise, we all possess anger, and we also all possess jealousy. It is just varying degrees. And however strong our afflictions or our love are, depends on the karmic imprints, the karmas from previous lives. But we all have it. And also, actually, these imprints and so on determine the way, how we think about different things in this life. So first of all, we need to identify love. And then once we have identified it, we need to hold on to it and increase it. And this is something that can be done.
Nge dara samba king ngo te dewa rindo la ya te kare sina nga pe je na rewa. Pe na me ji ju la samse yunjo ji mate la simba jibo do as. Ta te ko samba te ko dewa ngo te dewa yin ta te ki ting yo. Pe na nyo mo ba hedan ro ji ina ngo te dung ha yin be jim sin kare sina hedan ji ma dang cha do ji ma to jibo yo ma ro as. Simba jibo yo ma re. te ko dung te ko dung ha yin be jim sin te ne yo yo res. Te te samse te ne kei chenpo yinpa haa kone tene nga tsu te yinje minje tene dapo cha. Ta sanje ya la ya tene samba mi na yongya khora mando. Samba go do as. Tsin do la yang go do a tene samje te kei chenpo rindo as.
So why do I say that the nature, the essence of love is happiness? It's because, for example, any person that possesses love, that person will be happy, and so just natural, and that is a sign that the very essence, the very nature of love is happiness. And the reason for saying that anger and jealousy are by nature suffering is because anyone who has that is not happy. So a person who is angry and is jealous, that person is not happy. So that's why we say it is suffering by nature. So understanding that, recognizing that, we should, by all means, we must hold on to love. And also, if we want to, of course, attain enlightenment, there is no way we can attain enlightenment without cultivating love. We certainly need love. So in this life, in order to attain enlightenment, cultivating love is really essential.
Penna, samse jinji yina, tene te ke lunga, yi sumpe ko shoshe turwan do as. Mo samse jinji de cha yana, keja hiye na ya shoshin turwa. Sawa leka kare che na shoshin turwa sayende, ta yin distrop machapa, keja hiye na re, sawa che na re, rwa, dona ko yin na pimpa. Keja hiye na re, sawa che na re, yin na pimpa. Ta na nga ke dradang, nga ni chi keja hiye ndi ya, teni samba ta tsewa yu na, teni dradang pe nimbo yu ngondo as. Teni sawa leka kare che na teni pe yakpo yu re. Magi tawa yu na wala yi tongwa as. Tongwa samchi yi tongwa. Namba ya zo keja ma re. Rwa, rang yin ki hika tela teni yi tongwa chi chanu re. Matila samche yunjo ji machi ina, teni te me yinba la yi tongwa chagu yu re. Kare che na me yinba yi tongwa chanu yu re se na, samche te toke, teni pe pali matila teni semna na, teni nyingji wo jing tukho yu ta. O te yu yi tongwa se, te samche ki nipa re se. Nga rang yan dewa, yin la yan rang yin ki dewa ten chuduwa.
So when a person who possesses love, their body, speech, and mind will naturally be peaceful and subdued. Also, the way they speak, for example, will be peaceful and subdued. Whatever they do, whatever action they engage in, it will be peaceful and subdued. And they will engage in actions that do not disturb or that harm others. And if they just say one thing, whatever they do, it will be of benefit to others. And it's also just the way they are speaking. They can have the sound of their voice when others hear them speak. When a person with love and compassion speaks, then it sounds like a pleasant sound to the ears of others. Basically, whatever they do becomes positive and is seen as pleasant, as beautiful by others. And so here we're not speaking about external beauty. We're not speaking about being good looking or not good looking. But this beauty comes from love. There's this natural beauty that comes from love. A person who possesses love is naturally perceived as a beautiful person by others. And that's the power of love. So when other people look at them and think about them, then they just feel like this is a beautiful person. So that is the power of love. When there's love, then oneself will be happy, and also naturally other people will feel happy.
Ngarang so tindi yungu doan cham pen ngarang la charchin leka namba chama yapo yuna ya tani soso ki chi tropo ta tromo la so pa mathoba rwa ngala tropo di ga mundo ngala tromo di ga mundo se ya tindi yungu doa di jig ni se na ngarang so leri rwa le tan dewa yore ni se na tani tes chi rangla pinsim shira yamal semba ngazu semba zangbo sigirwa teni samba ga semde shira miyan sa teni tambon ribo chaya teni kale khashik sendo ya tendri yungu yore te kare jena nga ga jul samje khit mandang sungta tambo me yimba ga ning jewo jingtung yakpo dosa teni ta niwo cha sa teni yang pa ta ringbo cha ro je do te samje ga shira mandang sa teni tas che teni 초와 마데바 차이고요. 초와 마데바를 띠네 드니 때 스타링 거 차. 초와 가르치는 거 마데바 차가 요르세나 랑 셈나나 삼제데 만당 차드 드니 임발을 때스지 마티바치라 잉게 조용고요. 데 나라 뭐 임바 가고요나 티 랑게 주라 드니 야 가야 뭐 임 가야 그 야신도 주장도 전로데 가르르세나 삼제데 ini rang chur samche de namju pe chodo bolo ya ko ta poja ya ma ga ya chi de ni samche de ta poja go sana ya te yang ko chuma da chi cha go do une da cha ko mo do te yin ya tang po samche nyamni si do sin be zo ta ma ga te ni chena chu ri ina samche ngoma ngo te ma yin ba nga ga ya sam ta na te ko yo je de no do te ya ma re then samje de ta ko nenga chimbo yimba rangi ni ala ta devi jo yimba ha ko ne tini titene tini beso sin chur nyam salam tin lunga ge chulam khare chena yena phimba samba se te dona yena phimba che samata ya teri do yena phinsim se nga tinji tingi khake ro chi sen ko ma sem je ya po yo re ma sem je ya po yo ma re se ti do 엄마들 심지 야고 심지다 야고요 레세 엄마들 심지다 야고 요 말이세요 다때 갈 때는 희역이요르세나 심장마 삼바데 제와데 요미 뒤되는 희역이요 삼제 요나 이나 핑고 이 야고 연고 삼바데 삼제리데 심장보래 다랑 야고 연고 뭐 임발 야고 연 먹고 산 삼당되는 다 심님발 심 말아비데 데 삼지 독소래 then 마인 which then 랑게 저 랑 셈는 조라탄 가디오는 then 삼바데 제와 then 컴포트 땅고레스 저 디송고도 다라 중조나나 지디송고요 make 심진라 따나야 장기 삼베 철제 따시 make 다 파심진 이엔라 따양와 예나체 심진 이엔라 베 제와데 딤보고는 make 따ян도아 랑이 지 요지다 만데바 멋대 심줄을 세와 요는 맥대야 대단 맥 히바 대단 삼제 대단 레와이르 맥에 따나야 되는 지인라 제부 당 장부 삼부 처지 되니 따시 책 머니바 책 머니바 머주진 딘지 님바마소 산초 심바 라발라 lobus, Jubal labus. That sick here by inari, Kijaji Shiba inari, Yina Pondra Mahimba. Reva Yina Junta Mahimba. Then Dordina, Kija Kare, Shiba Yina Pimba. Or they tabun sick laboris. That they tab Kawani Yunguersina, take Karemo Kare lab de Bayina, take Yungsa the same thing in Guero. Churan same till Ziva Yuna. 팔리텔라 초 핀생고를 남나 가렘 가레는 야고차 그래 가시 지난 세움기 때문에 찌와 미나 지난 끼자 힘도 가렘 가레시나 줌제 시다요 말이 내갑 장라 때서 유시바리 얘는 탑톡대 연구요 말이 조 샘데 되니 방문을 레미바 핀고 삼바 대다 야보 연구 삼바 되기 때문에 끼자 시나 사와지나 근데 지나 근데 빼 다 체대 dimba 저기 삼바 체대 dimba 나기 냠는 지기 요레스
So sometimes there are certain people know that actually everything seems to be kind of positive. You know, they have like many conditions, positive conditions in their life, and maybe a good work and a good appearance and so on. But still, often even those people don't really find any lasting friends, any lasting companions. Like they say, oh, like he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me. They think their friends don't like them and so on. So on the one hand, that is related to karma. But on the other hand, also it is a sign that that person doesn't have enough like, altruism in their mind. So we speak about this, a person that has a good heart. And so that person doesn't have enough love in their mind. And so that's why maybe in the beginning, because everything kind of looks nice in the beginning, because they have good conditions in their life and they're good looking and so on. In the beginning, maybe you become very close with them, you become friends with them. But then, like if I'm that person, I don't have. Then if I don't have enough love, then eventually the other person will distance themselves from me. So first, in the beginning, the other person maybe sees me as as very beautiful, as a really good person, and they want to be close to me. But then, if I don't have enough love, then eventually they will feel uncomfortable at my side, and then they will distance themselves from me. And so why do they feel uncomfortable next to my side is because I do not have enough love and enough altruism or wish to benefit, to help others. And that naturally makes them feel not comfortable, makes them feel unhappy. So the best way to make others feel happy is to love them. And that's why we say you have to hold on to love. But of course, if we cultivate love and if we try to hold on to love just so that other people like us, or that if you just do it, so, yeah, that they like us, then that's not real genuine love yet. So it's more like a kind of fabricated love, and it could be seen as maybe deception, maybe not honest love. But in any case, if that's what it takes in the beginning, then we have to also do it in the beginning. So first we have to make any effort in the beginning to cultivate love, even though maybe it's not the most authentic love in the beginning, because ultimately we have to even go beyond that. Because ultimately, if we just try to cultivate love so people like us, then that's also something to be overcome, because that also is not completely honest and so or genuine. And so in brief, the crucial point is that love is what causes, true love is what causes happiness for self and others. And with that understanding, we have to make an effort in cultivating it in all of our activities of body and speech. In brief, whatever you do, you should do it with a wish to help others, to benefit others. no, in a mundane sense, we say, oh, this person has a good heart. He's a good person. So why do we say that? What really makes someone a good person? A person with a good heart. A good person is really someone with a pure heart. Somebody, basically, it depends on whether or not that person has love. And if the person has love, then naturally other people will see them as a good person. So that's what we call a good person with a good heart. So on the other hand, so it's somebody who wants to give to others. But if somebody wants to be happy for themselves and don't really care so much about others, then that's a person we call someone with a negative intention, or like a kind of a rude person and so on. Not a good person. So it's basically the opposite of love. So this is not how we should be, but we should always make an effort to increase our love for all beings in the mind. So in the Bodhicharyavatara, it says that even when you have a person that possesses love, even when they look at someone, they do so. They have a gentle look. They have a way of looking at others, and this is how one should look at others, with the eyes of love. So we can see that somebody who possesses love, there's a certain way we can see that in their eyes. There's a certain way they look at you. They have this gentle look that is completely honest and undeceiving, an undeceiving kind of way of looking. And so really the way people kind of look through their eyes is really related to their mind, the state of mind, the love that they have in their mind. So therefore we should, look at others with those eyes of love. And also then it says in that text that, and likewise the way they speak, somebody who possesses love, their words become beautiful, sweet words. They are perceived as sweet words coming from their mouth. And so then it says, so in this way one should train in the deeds of a bodhisattva. So looking and speaking with a mind of love. Speaking with a mind of love, for example, also means that what we say, really, when it comes from love, then we won't say things that really offend or hurt others, and also it wouldn't be things that are critical of others and something like that. Whatever one says, it will actually benefit others. It will be received as beneficial by others. And that is because whatever that such a person says comes from a genuine love in their minds. So for this reason, whatever they say will be somehow beneficial to others. And if someone doesn't have love, even if they say something, trying to say something nice, it won't really have a big effect. And even maybe if it does have a temporary effect, it won't really have an ultimate lasting effect. So what really determines that is the mind that is, again, a pure mind, a pure intention, a real wish to benefit others, a real concern for others, a real love. And such a person who has that, whatever they say, when they look at someone, when they speak to someone, it will naturally become beneficial to others. So this is kind of the authentic love that has to be developed.
남주 같이는 뭐지 딱복 송도 와스 또 정말 바지 찍세대 이릉이 이저리 랑게 사와 가르게 빠이나야 얘나 핑고 삼발로든 빠르고래 예스모도 와 빼나랑게 개와지 두고요나 얘나 핑고 삼바 끼저지 희고요나야 얘나 핑고 삼바 너나 랑게 룽아 예스모 사와 강드 빠이나야 얘나 핑고 삼바 디셈게 땡이 근데 사와 좀 되니 약보요 예스모도 와 단 너나 땡아 저다 문도 그나네나 달라 삼바 세야데 얘나 핑고 삼바 데리도 와시 데인드니 다 삼바다 제와 학경게더니 Mina tap chaparidoas, didn't didn't job and disungog. Samta ninji tapolas, Yimpingi Juto Machina. Tom Lama or Chemanjo, 700 in the Uso. Ta Samba and Hingi depending on stand which is that Juction in Gorva. That Juction attack in Jordan Rote. Lumba Nayi, then is Samba and Hingi Petina is in it, Nico, not in Yamnis in Petzos in it. Then yin a pingo, samba take the net in samba to yak only gone to penny. Then at the end of the Tromlam or chess, that no sinking to judge him, but any samba the ninja did in a drip to be a reason with that. Kazi samba the ninja the mina, dark in Jordan Malumba Nagi. Then he sinking to drip to be a reason, or then the samba the ninja the Hachang get any young say answer to the rangi jeweler, rangi tapjes in it. Only going to Pergoya. Then the young dos only going to Pergoya.
And Gajin Rinpoche always teaches that, and probably most of you know that, and you know what he's saying. And so what he's saying is that no matter what you do, whatever you do, you must have a wish to benefit others. So it doesn't matter what you do, whatever virtuous thing you do, you should always think, may this benefit others. Or whatever you say, you should think, may this benefit others. So in brief, whatever you do with body, speech, and mind, you should always think, may this benefit others. So this is what Rinpoche always says. And so in brief, now here in the context of the preliminary practices, this is love. Love is this wish to benefit others. And love and kindness are really indispensable. We absolutely need them. And so Jigten Sumgan then said that, so if the steed of love and compassion, or the horse of love and compassion, does not run for the benefit of others, it will not be rewarded in the assembly of gods and humans. Therefore, attend to the preliminaries. So love and compassion is like a horse that is running for the benefit of others, like a horse in like a contest, in a competition. So just like that, we need to train our mind in love and compassion, which is this wish to benefit others. May this benefit others, may I benefit others. That is that state of mind that we need to increase, so it becomes really vast. And then this horse will run for the benefit of others. So then the benefit of sentient beings will be accomplished. But likewise, if we do not cultivate this love and compassion, if our horse does not cultivate love and compassion, it will not run in the competition. So it will not accomplish the benefit of others. So the benefit of sentient beings will not be accomplished. And so therefore we have to really look at our mind over and over again and recognize love and increase love.
Samba say the samje say hakan kichim bores. Dono samje say the kial kable kabo yores. Pena soso ke gasa yasala samba chewan sapte chisigi yores. Yena yan tara ngaran sotni samje say the 심지 탐지를 제거 직자 이자만이 봐 용조를 제거 되니 갑래 커보 용건도 왔어 말아서 때라 지든한테 이와 따라티 재미 이어가나 남이 담보 심기 탐지 되었던 대외지다 딘바 쳇지세요 다때 삼바 재미 검당 대티측이나는 뉘는 거예요 그래서 대인도 대답을 삼바지 제야를 되니 빼 갑래 커보요 그래서 대인도 되니 토마르드 되니랑 삼바데 가와는 거좀 공고르시나 삼바 검탓 다 검탓 담보 되네 소소게 말라더니 고쪽네 되니 삼바도 공고래서 가르치는 말라 삼바지 삼지 끼래 나오러와스 소소가 아마는 삼지 끼래 나오러와스 가르치는 아마도 나랑 같은 친구러와스 되니 잠능 디나나 다 나라 아마 같은 치 찍게요 말어와스 Then tell us something the key or was tell a key you do, then go to need on it, and something the key goes. Tene mala kandejene tene samba tse ache gorsena ta mala tambo tene ngala kadenchen de tambo luchi betins so sim betins landor tim betins kawache betin tins tin number yodos tin chimbore yin sikki kyang drop ma ta tin chimbo yodoate rank amala ma to amaka ma to yin te ta drop to be ma is ngara 심진 둔로 시진이 시인나야 디 진이데 마게 장야바 심지 용조 디 진이 될 때는 드니 심지 탐진 초대 베데레스 배나가 진 당보hiện 르지 베진 신데 드니 토마랑 마응아드 효용도 다다나 인가나 저배 요 말바스 당보배 마이코 콜 드니 추스르게 차르드니 마이 콜 나드 효네 드니 단 도드나 마케트니 두구당 마케트니 지당 다데 데라 데네트니 랑 마소종세네트니 르 마케 말바스 다데 마케팅이노 마드 잉게데타 가딩 땅 투고요 말바스 갑데두 마카블레 미바 마레스 카블레 요요 카르바스 카블레 요나야 말은 나차 요레 카블레 요레 노차 요레다 강라양 드니 마 강라양 쳐도걸 삼노 마탄네니 부 덴자 코나는 삼노 탄네니 부마 데오스는 가서 제용으로 와서 데 마이 카딩 레스 드니 다라 진이 파소 심바시에 두존 데시페 제보도 된 두주데 근당문동에 딥디지는 마셔요가로 와 소심베 진 세야데 나서 마게 당안이 마 제용 갑라 드니 나서 강야 시요 말한도나 타는 사마야 사시에 말이 도로야 고시요 말아 얘나야 다 마게 빼 장마지 또 마지 저와 너드는 마게 년친 뒤쪽도 되네 갑래 잡네 들랑 소총 세용 와스 또 두수 삼방을 소소 오늘 센도에 문도 나랑도 따라 주소는 늘 망보도 마까지 친구 많이 망할 깔be 망보테서 세야 저 망할 제와 문도세 두수 망보 용거도 소짠이 딘바 말레스 가르스는 마기 까딘 치나 짱미나 치나 다른에 퇴요 말해 저와 등산도 마카이게 드니 부치니 망안니 제 마고와 제네 드니 민산 미바서게 직 양께서도 요요야 니 소네서 마보도 대답 마제브 제는 소소종 세대로 와시 같은 친구들이 두베스 근데 제는 삼땅네 드니 나나 베테 지고로 와시 같은 라 삼시 지고로 와시 란도 팀바 센도 드니 마 코니 마케 연데 드니 나나 카야 다 시면도 와시 데멘 가이 드니 마게 드니 사마사탄 케제 시에탄 도로 콘탄도 참마 마그 롭소테도 롭소티 마그 롭소티네 드니 나서 다 케제 시에타바 로와 삼노 탄지 유반도 좀 마이 카데로와스 드니 까와치 반도 드니 테 까와치 비티스 다테 탐지 치드 단도 드니 부부 치드 마 까와치 장체 쯔쯔 자미 로와 틴 소소게 베 삼노 야포 땅 마딩 카덴 침보리 두에 면도 삼땅 거와스 드랭 가서 주소는 드드도와 카히 베나 소소 때서 주보는 나찬데지 다 레간도지 쇼 밤조 시다미나 드니 마임베 때서 로바치 밤조고 로바치 레카고 로바치 베나 다 치랑나 dun타레레서 다레레서 로레레서 로바치 빙아 수카된 침보인 세기도와 그래 저와 카된 리데 오네레 페나갈 사마 사지미네 타페 무이시로 지고는 사마테는 카된 침보로 나데요는 드니 민당 띵야다 따뜻서 너는 강이 탐치를 드니 나게 강이로 로바 망보지는 오네 카된 침보로 와서 카된 레스 대초게 카된 띵 아주 휴지 세는 딘 파카된 소야 삼로 땅고 여러 와시 얘나야 마게 카된다 되니 들어이나 자찬으로 들어가는 자차 차실은 딘트고요 많이 많이 카된 가르치는 마게 담보코라 다걸 두고는 커요 봐서 마 주보고 끼다 두 코나는 뛰니 마 용조로 봤어 근데 부 충조가 가양 맛이 되더니 마가 같이 깔래 잡여 Chiramaki Sheki Mandoas, Moe Hechi Mandoa, Ne Natsaki Hechi Mandoa. Oh, the captain the Chira Nasa Mango Jung Amaki Minkana Tin and Soya La Tang me by injury. Rawaka Mamuta. The Tuso Kable and the summer country to the town at any Mat Hajan Kadin Chimbo in Batani Hako. Teni Ten, the Tini Mala Sansichi. Tambo Kadin Timbas. Teni Kadina. Teni Din Shiba, Kadin Chimbori, Santisu to some nota. Teni Din Zoas, that Din is Jayarwa, or to Sola, some of town, the Tini, Mune Marketa Kadin the Samuel and the Bahakone, Teni Rang Mala Zewachi. Mala Zewachi and the Tazewa the Chirendro, that the man the Nala. Katsi Kadi Jama Imbana, Jiva Toma Miban, Matamji data which Kadin Jang Hako. Oh, dan do드는 심지 탐징하게 파마인 바다 산지가 송유로 정말 파마레스. 다라드는 송고요래 때 시정는 송우시. 그래서 마기 제와드더니 잠깐도 지적 야거나 마이 제와다 마이 제와 자휴 쓰겠잖 로봇 장자 사이랑 문제를 요런 너나 다라 사친 분들 러버 충충 디나 러버전 직지적 잡야바는 지적자네 사드 조시기 요래때 마기 제와 대답 지적자나야 제와 마기 장가 지 탭투고요 말이지 망자네 대래 망자네 대인도 대니 심지 탐지다 마마지 직점이 마세 버까라 코 드로속 차세는 마이나 제완도 와스 맞은 통투부도 와스 드로속 차서 마이 제와 코는 야 초용도 와스 오 단 도르드나 심지 탐지 마마제 직점이 봐 마세 버깔 가딘 장와인 봐 직바인 봐 드니 드솔러 삼노다네 드니 삼바데 심지 탐지라 바공고레스
So so therefore so it's very important that we cultivate love. And so because in the beginning, it's difficult to cultivate love just like that. We first bring to mind the love we have for someone that we love the most. So for us, in the beginning, maybe we love someone. So maybe there is somebody that we love, and we can easily feel love for them. But then we can't really feel that for every sentient being. And we need to cultivate love for every sentient being, not just one or two sentient beings. So that's quite difficult, isn't it? And so regarding love, so how we cultivate this vast love, and then the four immeasurables, it says first, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So the cultivation of love, the practice of immeasurable love is really included in these words, in this one line. And at first it's very difficult to cultivate love for all these sentient beings. So we need to start somewhere. So where do we start? We start with our mother. And that's because it's easier for us to cultivate love for our mothers. So why is it easy? Why is it easier to cultivate love for our mothers? It's because our mother has been incredibly kind to us. In fact, there's really no one in the world who has been as kind to us as our mothers. There are certain things that only our mother was able to do. Nobody else can do it. And so when you bring that to mind, then really love first arises for your mother. And so how was our mother so kind to us? It is said that the mother has been kind to us in four different ways. First of all, the mother gave birth to our body. Then secondly, the mother raised us, so she sustained our life. And then thirdly, the mother taught us what to do and what not to do. And number four, the mother endured a lot of hardships for our sake. So these are four things that really only the mother can do. Nobody else really can do. Nobody else can give birth to us. we grew in the wombs of our mothers. And even in animals, for example, even animal mothers are kind to their children because they care for them just like that. They give them their body and so on. They raise them and protect them. So first, the mother gave us our body. So that begins when we entered the womb of our mother. So when we first entered the womb of our mother, we were just this little like blob, starting from like an egg, an oval egg, to turning into this like lump, and then slowly growing into an actual body. And that we did in the womb of our mother. And that's really something that nobody else can do. Only our mother did that for us. And carrying us in her womb, that's not easy. It's not that just goes without any difficulties. It's a great hardship because the mother had to endure a lot of pain, a lot of embarrassment, and many hardships to give birth to that child. And this entire time, all she was thinking about is just the well-being of of her child. She was just worried about everything will be okay with the child. So that's a kindness that really only our mother was able to give us. And then next, once we were born, and so we kind of have to go, of course, there's much to be said about that, but we don't have too much time. So I'll give just a brief explanation on each of those points. But so then secondly, once we are born, then the mother raised us and taught us everything. We didn't know anything when we were born first. So everything. She taught us how to eat and how to dress. And she made sure that we are not hungry, or that we are not freezing, and so on. So really, throughout the 6 periods of day and night, she endured a lot of hardships to care for us, to protect us. So we have to really think about that. Isn't that true? Isn't that really what happened? Because nowadays in society, often people do say that, oh, my mother was not kind to me. My mother gave me a lot of trouble. My mother doesn't love me, and so on. But that's really not true at all. Because if you really think about it, if your mother would not have endured these hardships of like giving birth to you and raising you and so on, and making sure that you don't go hungry and freeze and so on, then you wouldn't even be alive right now. You couldn't survive on your own. So now, for example, there are many like women who decide not to have a child, and they, for example, have an abortion, or after the child is born, they give it away. So these things happen, but it didn't happen to you, right? Your mother cared for you. Your mother actually didn't abort you, but she had you, and she birthed you, and she raised you, and so on. So you have to really think about the kindness of just that. If you just think about that, and in the beginning, how she taught us, everything, what to do, what not to do, we didn't know how to speak, we didn't know how to eat, how to dress. Our mother taught us all of that. We didn't even know how to think about things. So when we really would think about the kindness, the hardships that the mother had endured for us, actually, it is incalculable. It is just endless hardships that she endured for us. And so if you really think about it, we can really see that is an incredible kindness. So even nowadays in society, for example, if you, for some time in your life, maybe you're sick, or you don't have a job, or you don't have money, you have some problem, and then someone comes along and helps you out. Maybe somebody gives you some money, or gives you a job. Somebody helps you for however long, like a week, for a month, for a year. If a person really pulls you out of trouble in this life and really helps you, you always think about that. You always think about, oh, this person was so kind, right? So we think that way. For example, if you would be on the brink of starvation, had no food, and then somebody comes and gives you food, that's an incredible kindness. You would always remember that. or if you're really sick and somebody helps you and gives you medicine and cures you, then you would always remember that person with gratitude, wouldn't you? And so we can think about that. We can think about the kindness of those people. And then we always feel that we are indebted to those people because they helped us so much. So we want to repay their kindness. So we do think that way. But actually, if we were to compare that kindness to the kindness of our mothers, then there's not even a comparison. The kindness of our mothers is far exceeds the kindness of any good thing anyone had ever done for us in our lives, because it just starts with carrying us in her womb for 9 months and all the hardships that come along with that, and keeping us keeping us warm, and birthing us and raising us and so on. And then we were little babies, and she didn't just let you die somewhere or neglect you. She didn't let you die of starvation, or when you're sick, she didn't just ignore that. But every time you were sick, she went to the hospital with you, for example. And probably the times that she brought you to the hospital when you had a little sickness, you probably can't even count those times. There's so many times. So if you really think about it, you can really see the kindness of our mothers. And then when you recognize that, then love arises. So first, it is that we have to see the kindness. And, and then once we see the kindness, then naturally a wish to repay that kindness arises. And if we really think about it, the kindness of our mothers is actually really beyond thought. It's really unthinkable. It's such an incredible kindness. So in this way, our love increases, becomes stronger and stronger. And then once we have that, then we consider, so since we have had beginningless lifetimes, so many lifetimes, in each of these lifetimes we have had mothers. And so just as this mother had cared for us, there are all these countless sentient beings have done just the same for us in all these previous lifetimes, because the Buddha had said all sentient beings have been our parents. It is said in the letter to a friend that if we would try to count the number of times, the numbers of sentient beings who have been our mothers, actually we could kind of break this whole world into little pebbles, like little balls, like little berries, and count them. So if we would like make this whole world into little like balls, eventually we would be counting through all the little balls. But if we would try to start counting like how many times sentient beings and how many beings have been our mothers, there would be no end to counting. We couldn't count it. It's incalculable. So in brief, there is not a single sentient being who has not been our mothers. And for example, even animals, they love their children, they care for their children. And even in that lifetime, they were extremely kind to us. So in brief, eventually we have to expand our love so that we recognize that there is not a single sentient being who has not been our mothers. And therefore we must cultivate love for all those sentient beings.
남주 nga tsu tendu yungu do cham cham soso la pama ya yu soso la pu ya yu na teni pama la shida samkyong tang tsewa tang do na tukur na jira tukur ta pama la chi samlo ta ya nga tsu nyong nyong ro cha teni soso ku pu de pe za chimbo tse rwa pama de te sma I la ya tendu yungu do te bet non ro 대단히 된데 말이지. 뿌라 제와 고리 파마라 제와 고리 단다 제와 지고리. 그러봐. 파마라 삼종 고리 뿌라 삼종 고리 단다 신조 고리. 뿌란 통고리 파마란 통고리. 대인들이 나가 파마데 라페 그협다 존조 세야데 빼 마시르는 같이 뭐 소소그 수남단 레와 휴요다 소소게 파마라 빼 삼종의 제와 트렌드니 뭐지이나 대 멋들 수남 자샤자요 갈레 갈티 뭐야 젠로 사와레가 가이나 코 가레지나 코 파말 제와 그협 제르와 코 수남 공공도 분도 나라서 수남사 센서디 수롤 열지니 나라서 그 집설 잘라 녀와나 이지 삼로 따야 되는 되게 오말 랑게 세게 나노니 세게 나노니 삼파디 제와 야진로와 이나 라 수남 되니 공도 부고요 레스 데인데 다 소소 파말더니 뿌를 전조 세파나기 되니 파말을 전조 세고 배나 소소가 뿌를 빼 제와치 파말을 시다 마진 통총 세나 마음빨라 치랑 그 뿌게 치랑을 띵띵 대답치기래 치랑 같이 못 같이 파야보 지나야 치랑 그 파말을 야보 마제베 대게 렌데세난다 뿌게 맥두 세난다 너드는 치랑 그 뿌게 쳐 치랑 그 파말을 통총 세파나기 치랑 그 뿌게 치랑 대답치기래 대인데 근데 첸더다 스마니 가만히 살았다는데 파말을 제와 떼고야 그게 지야 돼 근데 오늘 그 야랍 주장 직디 미치네나 빼야고래 담불 라치네나 되네 제와서야 다 파말을 전조돼 다고안 담불나 담보 다 빼는 거라서 담배 취시에 저 상바된 지시에 거도 대신 토마 상바데 가발 공부스 아마를 공부를 되는 거라서 농파 가발 또는 맞절나 kan 타다냐 봐 신동구요와 마트 자친보 인장 되네 담보대 뭐고요 남바 산지스디 랜데 켈링으로 랜데스에디 기치야데 될라 랜데데 대치야요 와스 되네 말아 고존은 나가 말이야 고치 되네 고존에 되네 심지 탐제를 제와고 다 다른 거라서 파마 맞에베 찌겸이 생도 심지 탐제를 되네 나그 말을 제와 공부하나이 심지 예나야 파 제와 공부들 지기요래서 빼는 거라서 까담게 힘이 저게 따라 삼바드 hingi 첫 장인데 되니 담보 짐제밍아 돈 세기도 짐제밍아 돈이 고존에 되니 삼바드 초봉 거 담보 나 롭종시 오라 담보 마리시바 심지 탐저랑 게 마리시바 마시바 차디 되니 마기 딩친 바하고바 딩 바스 되니 딩 조아스 딩 하고는 되니 딩 판자야 되와 되니 이용게 삼바스 다 하장게 삼바여러와스 되니 닝제 승아리 되 닝제 되니 라산 넘버 타바스 되니 심기 세탄 돌드나 동요가 과서 찌찌 되와요 담보 마르틴 대때니 마티 마이테니 팅칭 딩도 딩 조야티 되니 삼바티 이용게 삼바스 되니 닝제 꼬찌 찌찌니 오도와 손님과 친구 연구요레스 대대더니 소소 말 삼바 고 말나 yin 삼바 고 투요 말아 되니 나한테 추시에 소병세는 가 tum조지는 거 존에 야진로 거봐 담보니 tum조데 마제베체 마톱조를 버데바이나 되니 마톱조지 진이 가되는 투고 말아스 tum조지는 거 좋아이나 되니 야진로 되니 니바체르 체르 되니 그 상주 센세야 되니 디는 레는 거 나와스 안 되니 토마토 삼바 고 마닌 거죠. 되니 다 심지 탐지 많이 하고. 되니 난 너드는 소속이 뺀데요. 가와 하는 데와요 나무. 저거 조모. 다 보고 파마자 만을 삼바고 삼바제바고. 되니 소속에 심지 속혀 임바 날 가는 데와요. 대 탐지라야 삼바제바고. 되니 자체로 되니 알아서 따라 만남 카드냐 심지 탐지에서도 되니 삼바는 게 남카나이 파자치 삼바 체미바 줄 제발 효생 아주 시기도 삼바 체미바 세때 되니 뭐 삼바의 최종도 답은다 나랑 그 조보 조모라 수발 삼바제 소소가 남발 삼바제나 삼바들 최종요래 야나 소소게 배 자캅다 롱바 찍잠라 제나야 대 삼바의 최종요래 다양 멋지볼 삼바전 대야체잖아. 근데 많이 봐. 체미세 심기 탐제라. 심지 탐지에서 심지 탐지 남캐 가짜로 심지 차비를 세기도 마저는 그 타다냐 심지 탐지에서 근데 대 탐지를 되니 삼바트야 파차고도 하시 심지 탐지 대화다 대외주도 된 받쳐제세 삼바체미세 토미 되니 달라 제와지 만도나 란디치 히사스 자셀라네는 요아 토미 되니 달라 제와 진센 토마미 번랑게 마세 버칼 심지 참을 제와 요로와시 대답 제와세 까딘장 야부 마테다 탐지더니 다 동안용 소아이나 근데 나 대워 기보지센 다 핀도케 요 말레스게요다 나 인도도 라차차도도 다 소소페 솔로페 기보 데 팔로는 파마 그래서 강인체 근데 진도는 다 닝고 요 말레스 토미 된다는 제와 만나도는 안 되지겠어 다 기보 지보스 되는 닝고 요 말레스 대한테는 심지 탐지 대화 딩도 그렇게 거래서 뭐다
So also what happens sometimes is that no, some people, of course, they have parents and they have children, and sometimes people care much more about their children. They love them much more, and they don't care so much about their parents, and then they don't really want to, care, take care of their parents a lot, and just really focus on their children. And that's really mistaken, because just as your child needs love, also your parents need love. It's exactly the same. They need the same love. Both need the same love. So likewise, your child need to respect your child, and likewise you need to respect your parents. And it's extremely important that we can see that. So because that's actually the way we respect our parents and we treat our parents is really connected to our merit, our accumulation of merit. Really a lot, actually. Is extremely important, because a person who really loves and cares for their parents, that person definitely accumulates a lot of merit. And because they accumulate a lot of merit, whatever activity they do, it will eventually turn out good, successful. Because through loving and caring for their parents, their merit increases. So this accumulation of merit is not like accumulating some objects. We can just go somewhere and buy something. So this is not how we accumulate merit. It comes from the mind. We need to increase the love in our mind. And this is how we increase our merit. So therefore, it's very important that just as we care for our children, we have to care for our parents in the same way. Just like we love and, consider our children as really important, similarly, in the same way, we have to see our parents as very important, and we need to respect them. Because if you just care for your child and you just neglect your parents, and you even look down on them, then actually karma comes back, and in the future, your own child will do the same thing to you. No matter how much good of a parent you are, no matter how well you treat the child, if you neglect your parents, then this kind of karma comes back. So on the one hand, this is karma. On the other hand, probably also is this kind of a kind of family line that gets kind of transmitted to the child. So the child becomes just like that and will act in a similar way when they grow up. And they will basically treat you the same way. And so if we think further, in this and future lifetimes, it's extremely important, for no matter in which way we think about it, it's extremely important that we really develop love and respect for our parents, and that we treat them really well and we care for them well. Even in a worldly, mundane sense, this is considered to be a good person, somebody who does that, somebody who has good behavior. And of course, in the Dharma, this is considered the best practitioner, because as we always say, that the essence of the Dharma is love and compassion. We must cultivate that. And so the way to cultivate that in the beginning is by starting with our parents. And then we expand that. And we always say, then all mother sentient beings, limitless is space. Whatever recitations we do, we always start with that, because our mothers are so precious. And as Buddhist practitioners, we are accepting karma. And this is the greatest karmic connection that we have, is to our mothers. And that's why we start by thinking about our mothers. We develop love for our mothers, and then we expand that to all sentient beings, recognizing that all beings have been our mothers. And so just like our present mother cares for us now, in a similar way, all mother sentient beings have cared for us. And so therefore we regard them all with care and with love. Now, in the past, the Yukatampa Geshes, the way they cultivated love and compassion is by going through, it's called the 7 instructions of cause and effect. And so that is, it begins with, the first one is to recognize one's mother. And then second, we remember the kindness of our mother. And then third, we want to repay that kindness. So we're speaking about all sentient beings now. And we want to repay that kindness. And then fourth, we develop loving kindness, which is a loving care for them. And then number 5, there arises compassion. And number 6, there arises a pure intention, a genuine intention, like a genuine mind. And then number 7, bodhicitta arises. So each of these steps, of these elements here, they are connected to each other. One leads to the other, so they are interconnected. So first we recognize our mothers, and then we cultivate gratitude, and then I wish to repay their kindness, and so on. And so that's a very important point. So if we are if we are not able to cultivate love for our mothers, then we will definitely not be able to cultivate love for all other sentient beings. So that's where we have to start with our mothers. And so we have to start kind of maybe do any Dharma practice. We have to start with the basic steps, with the kind of the common steps. And if that is not there, then there is no way that we can build on it. There's nothing to build upon. We can't go any higher. We can't develop. So we have to begin with these common steps of practice and increase these. And then that is what grows stronger. And only if that grows stronger can it eventually develop into bodhicitta. So that's the only way. And so that's why it is really important that we first cultivate love, starting with our mothers, and then recognizing that all sentient beings have been our mothers. So we begin with our mothers, and then we expand it to those who are near us, like our other family members and our children and our friends and so on, people around us, and eventually all sentient beings. So in this way, we increase our love faster and faster. So in the end, it becomes boundless. So that's the meaning of all mother sentient beings, limitless, boundless as space. And so therefore, we make a prayer. May those 4 immeasurables arise within my mind stream. So for that to arise, we have to begin with cultivating love. Now, if our love is limited, it's not boundless. So for example, if you love certain people, like you love your family or you love your friends, then that is limited. It's not, so it's a kind of bounded, or the limited love. Or if your love only extends through your country, you only love this one particular country, then there's a limit to your love. But the love that we need to develop is limitless. And it's not limited to a certain personal place, but it has to pervade all sentient beings, all mother sentient beings. So it needs to become all pervasive. And that's the meaning of saying all mother sentient beings, limitless as space. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness. So this implies immeasurable, boundless, limitless love. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, if one's mothers who have been, if my mothers who have been kind to me since beginningless time are suffering, what's the use of my own happiness? So, if my mother is suffering and I'm having a good life and experience happiness and well-being, what's the point of that if my parents experience hardships and suffer? So this is how we should develop this kind of mind. We should develop for all sentient beings.
Tanya sampa gom tanya tini tambo maning go chugule den tini yang kahe mala chuni tsewa che ma tende yosipare den yang so tambo subtsewa che jobo jomu pugo subtsewa che na tini go chona ya kiba chago yores susu tapna pugo tsewa chimbo yona tini ten pula samota tini simji tamje rang pugo maze pitikya me samne tene simji yimba tamje ram pu sibu kala tara pu tsewa yupa na yina ya tsewa yorwas ote tabsa motana ya te chogu yosares tene tan dor duna samje seyate simji yongzo le ke go ya jiri ma to ya rani le chur ya bo ji de ni le tsewa yu tene ya bo ma je ni le tsewa mi na tene tara nga ta namba ke songdo ya ke tene samba samje mingi se 대단 드기면도 된 통구면도 삼바게 제와 삼제 세 심지 탐지 랑라 야보 제용바 이나요 제와 유대요 랑라 야보 마제와 이나요 심지 탐지를 제와 유대요 그러와 빼는 머신 속향 타나요 단 너드는 소 착지 창을 봐 제와 공로야 근데 제와 대한테는 나게 저 따발 나게 셈라 나게 진시존에 배쪽지네 제거해 지리 마도야 라이 고용고 문도아시 다 너드나 나를 진시고 진시시 인도 다제 셈바는 당나라서 가래라고 따라 먹게와 똑바지 요나 때때 파교르다 로와 게와 똑바 배나 핀심 핀심게 로제 했다야 때리 핀심 제야 돼 삼땅도 근데 핀심 야보제 용와이나 다때 삼지 차고요 참마나 핀심지야. 근데 뭔돈에 나게다 핀셈테 장 핀셈테라 냠닝 제데 바이나 때 띵띵코 때 야젠로 근데 때 야고 차고 요사레스 근데 양 알아서 저거로 남준 돈반 돈이 zonde tam만 남카다 냠 핀심지 탐제라 샌드 돈파 야고 노야 요랑 알아서 남바 참마나 요래 이제 담 먼저 지는 게 지고 해야 요러 얘는야 돈 라닝기 때문에 당나를 같이 두. 로와 심주 추던 렌도 등도. 심주들 제왕도 등도. 다 되는가. 심주들 제와 요나 삼바 요나 당문에 나가 심주 추던 리요레스. 다 때문에 남바기다 추바 차고요레. 대마도 나라 빼는가 남부 추로병 로망보체 로와 냠리 로망보체 근데 집에 나라 기자 침보 같이 해야 요나야 나 셈나 핀셈이나 똥바 나한테 인지기에는 좀 제로 마이리다 나는 삼성들이 지기도 라고도 뭐 같이 남주 로미는 코 남주 레코리 라고도 제로리 라고도 너들 남부치 때는 희나 주랑의 삼바미나 다치라나 주로 병도 냠니 제로리 되는데 지랑 상마 같이 먹고 빼 따완 통보 같이 해 돈이 따와 같이 산주고 생 같이 해 되바이나 지랑 담보 삼바 제와데 미나 다 지로 차르요레스 되는데 소속에 빼 주로 소속 삼노 땅 되니 삼바데 제와데 야제 땅고야 제 마땅와이나 되니 가서 난줄 협병선에 핀 토고면도 피 마토리 되니 피 마토 그거 보지게 되니 딱고 비중이 차려 왔어 되니 핀 토바지 저거로 왔어 핀 토바 줘야라 냠니 지거다 냠니 지나 되니 문에 야고 쳐래 배나나 가장아 족보징 아니 토스 ngani samaji cha sai ngani kija mambo she de kong ji de sumudo nga chon nangba ki tara mo ki morji yor nangba mambo de sama mang nyong ru do sumudo rawa tate tene chulo yimba pe ne yeshi chulo pe ya jin ru do so tate jimji kawa to do se na tene nangba la ke chezo lo pa chi chi lo ro pa se ya rawa pen chujon ro tang an so pa group yo group ne chi chi lo ro pa se ya de ha chang ke tan ni pa kang dang mo do se chi chi lo ro pa se jap chu se ya ma chi le kang yin che wa yin na dang bo nam ju nga ke ja ya bu xie ge yo ro yin na nga chujo chi chi le kang yin che de ro pa ne ji ge mo do se ro pa ji tu yo ne ji ge mo do dong da ta ha mo do se tene tele tene nang ba de ma nyong ro ya ye xin zhao wei na ji le gang yin chen de ji ge ji le ro pa ha jiang ya bu ji ge do si tene ta na zo ma mang bo gang yin yo ro ten de tene gang yin ji tam ji ten de si ne ma nang bu chu le lob yong si ni nyong du do so de ji se na de si nyam yip dan re wa yu ji ri sang do ro ten de nam ju nga na sam ba de zhe wa gom ni yin du tene sim ji yin la ja che san nga pin ta tu ne ya bo re ja chen bo pin ma ta ma to ba yin na rang ge zhou bo zhou mo 나무 또 강은체나 로바치트고는 니빠도 로바치고레스 소소 주로도 솔로 강은체는 니빠도 로바치고레스 로 강나도 난치 그때니나 베 레줌데 단데와 여레 되는 직디 먹을 때는다 막강이지로 로바시에도 좀베 야고를 와시 근데 들고 다 남부 추기 실래야 돼 뭐추 실래데 첸들라 핀바 체 스마야 핀바 다다야 yin pin ta ba jewa chira mambo le yin pin ta tna ta ya ta nambo me yu de ba de nga ge pin ta ya lo de go go res ta de nyamni ma ze na pin ta sa le de ta go ma re was ante ta mo nyamni ya bo chi lo byong ya bo si nyamni si nga ge cho ju le de samba de nin ji de kan tip ju tip jat ya de ni be so chi go ni ma re yin
So there still are some people who can't really cultivate so much love for their mother, and then we have to start somewhere. You start with somebody that you love the most, whoever that is. For example, if it's your companion, your friend, or if it's your child. For example, if you love your child the most, then first you start with your child, and then you continue expanding that, thinking that all sentient beings have been my child in the past. And just as I love my child right now and care for my child when they were my children, I love them just as much. So you can also think in this way. Basically, you start with anybody that you love very much, and then you expand that love for all sentient beings. And all our boundless really also, it means that regardless of how they are treating you. So sometimes when we think that when somebody is treating me well, those people I love, but then if somebody doesn't treat me well, then often we don't love them. But actually that really does not actually agree with the Buddhist teachings on love and compassion. It's boundless love and compassion. We must have it for all beings, regardless of how they actually are treating us. So if others are treating me well, I love them. If others are not treating me well, I love them too. And not just human beings, also animals or even little insect, little bugs and so on. You must love all these beings. And so in order to develop this vast love, we also must make an effort in mindfulness. It's really connected to mindfulness. Because if you're unmindful, if we not make a consistent effort, love, like this kind of love, will not just arise on its own. So we do need to make an effort with constant mindfulness. And with mindfulness, we must try to reduce as much as we can our non-virtues or negative thoughts or emotions, and develop more the positive thoughts of altruism, of wishing to benefit others. And basically, when your mind has become altruistic, then you really have developed love. That is love. So that needs to always be in your mind. That's why we need to always practice it continuously. We need to improve our love. Then if we really make this effort, and I'm certain that we will become full of immeasurable love. It's just we have to make this effort. Now, we are often, as Buddhist practitioners, we do a lot of recitations and sadhana practices and so on. And of course, we always say these prayers, all mother sentient beings and so on. May they have happiness and the causes of happiness. But so these are words that we can maybe say, and maybe it sounds like really profound also when we say them. But then when we take an honest look at our mind, am I really actually practicing that? Am I really feeling that? Is this really like integrated in my mind? Do I really feel this love that I am proclaiming to have? And if you do, then your mind really has become mingled with the Dharma. Then you are a real Buddhist practitioner, Dharma practitioner. So otherwise, if that is not the case, then if you just basically pay lip service to these words, and maybe you may proclaim that you have studied and practiced the Dharma for so many years, and you might be able to speak about the Dharma in a really profound way. But no matter how much you can say about the Dharma, basically the benefit of that is exactly zero. Sometimes we speak about somebody's intelligence. We say like they have zero intelligence. So if we have no love, then basically our Dharma intelligence is exactly zero. No matter how much Dharma we have practiced or how much we know about emptiness, or we can speak about the view, the nature of the mind in a really profound way. If our mind has not really cultivated immeasurable love, then the benefit of all that knowledge is exactly zero. So really think about that and improve your love. Because if we don't improve our love, then all of our Buddhist knowledge is basically useless. It is really of not any benefit. And the point of practicing and learning the Dharma is so that there is a benefit. So we have to make it become a benefit. And in order for it to be a real benefit, to become a benefit, we have to really practice the essence of it. And then we will turn out to be excellent practitioners. Actually, the other day, I had a conversation with a friend. We ate a meal together, and we talked a lot. And he said that actually, nowadays, in terms of population count, right? The Buddhist population in the world actually is getting lesser, getting smaller, while the populations of other religions, like Christianity, for example, is actually increasing. So there's more and more Christians, but there's less and less Buddhists. And so he was giving me thoughts about the reason why this is the case. And it is really because what we are lacking in the Buddhist communities is that even though there are a lot of groups or Dharma centers and there are a lot of Dharma friends, a lot of practitioners, we don't actually have so much interest in really helping each other. We don't really help each other so much. And this is really what it comes down to, actually. When somebody has a problem or suffering a hard time, do we help the person or not? This is what it comes down to. And of course, in the Dharma, in the beginning, we meet our Dharma friends, and we have really profound conversations, and we have wonderful conversations with each other and so on about the Dharma. But then when that Dharma friend one day runs into difficulties, then there's nobody to help them. And then they're kind of on their own. And even though there are people who could help them, nobody really helps them. It doesn't happen that much. It happens, but it doesn't happen that much. And that's really why there's less and less Buddhists. And because there is actually a big custom in Christianity, in Christian communities, to help each other when you have a difficulty. We can speak about the view and knowledge nicely, but what it really comes down to, what people really need is help, because that one thing that we all have is problems, and we all run into difficulties, and then there is nobody who helps us. But in Christian communities, there's this habit of when there's this community around you. So when somebody has a problem, there will be a community to help them somehow, and that's really seems to be related to this increase and decrease in these the populations. And that is also related to the cultivation of love and of kindness. That we definitely, what we should develop more is that when we have love and there's someone who has a problem and needs help, if we can help them, then definitely we have to help them. And not just kind of ignore it. If we can, then we have to do it. And surely we have to care for our parents and our friends and our Dharma friends around us if they need our help, our surroundings basically. And this is also related to the view of karma in Buddhism. So even in a worldly sense, even not just in Buddhism, if we help those in need, then that person who helps those in need is considered to be a good person, right? And that helping in need, those around us, this is the activity, the actual activity of Buddhist practice. And that is what will bring benefit in this life and in future lifetimes. So it will bring benefit to people in this life, and it will also be of benefit to us in all future lifetimes to come. And that's the ultimate mission of the Dharma, actually. It's to have this wish and actual drive to benefit others when they experience difficulties, when they are in need. If we don't do that, if we just focus on our own practice and so on, then and we don't really do anything for others, then all of this practice is really basically useless. So that's the whole purpose of why we first learn about the Dharma, we study and we practice the Dharma to cultivate love, this kind of love and compassion. So with this in mind, day by day, each and every day, we have to really try our best to develop our love and compassion as much as we can.
얘는 로바 지인데 뒤차라 나가 삼바다 ninge 가래 공부요는 뒤차라 시럽 세야 되고 요들 로바 지고도에 간디지 지고도 도주되는 지 humjo가 답지 양답바 유버거네 되니 얘나 로바 지나야데 시럽도 딘버거네 시럽도 저단 제버거네 되니 얘나 로바 지고레스 양페는 시럽다 만드바 얘나 되니 홉스칼나 초라가 지선다는 되니 알레가 제나 대근 점제대야 핑크 유도 누구유 하고요 말에 대인들이 그 시랍당 좋아했더니 삼바트 제와게 되는데 이너로 빠지야 핀다야 도저더니 내가 침보레스 다 나라 좀 문도 산초 남자는 다 나라 좀 남주 다 문도 냠닌 지고랑 냠닌 지인들 되네 산초 남자는 맞은 남칸냠도 심지나 간다 대거 빨라 주반도 대지 힘비 원래 종에나 공자 삼버센터 딘바죠 딘저제 송도 다 pena tumo magi ngondo to te nyamni chi de tangka saya la so badwas ta tarang aran so chepal ngondo na ne samba tela tangka saya yo mari gom ya chang chi por samba gom go wa samba gom de tene ndona yin simji tamje le pingo samba lo te ta gom do tango tene ngara so samba gom sin gom jan samba gom 담보 심지 탐지 심지는 명 삼바곰 그래와 소소 파마 제와 있는 명의 삼바고 데니 데심지 탐딜 파자 쳇쳇 땅네 데니 체미 부삼바고 던저 지나 랑게 줄런도나 핀셈데 마케거도 데니 삼바짱자 곰네 데니 곰자네 냐미 지고레스 페나 데이터부 데니 삼바고네 티노는 송도스 다라 나란솔 데와데 데지 페나 라타 머게 데지 탐제야 삼바를 때네 주고도스 니송송 동화 탐제 삼바는 미발을 때네 니송 동화 착도스 대인데니 삼바데 데비 조양리 다다야 데바리 대인데니 삼바데 곰네 데니 텔냐미 제네 베소시고레스 랑라야 삼바 요바 인라야 삼바 제와 인라야 삼바 제와 제야라더니 나게 베소치야 소키 침보레스 다 드랭카프 바바더니 나서 따라 제발 문도 삼바 슌드 바인 대차도다 아 나라서 다 같이 저와 흥마 저와 같이 라디오서 솔리 한 카운트터마 부기인 스튜디오 때는 뒤트비야 그래와 지금 요스트고
So as Buddhist practitioners, therefore we must cultivate love, compassion, helping others when they are in need. So that is definitely something that we have to do as Buddhist practitioners. But also, when we go and help others with love and compassion and with kindness, we also need to have some wisdom. Wisdom needs to support our love, and wisdom examines the situation. Like, how can I really help that person? Is this going to help the person? So wisdom kind of weighs the benefits and the harms and so on. And then with that wisdom, supported by wisdom, with love and compassion, we then go and help the other person. If we don't use any wisdom, if we just follow our feelings and like impulsively directly go to help somebody, sometimes it's not so sure whether the result will be beneficial or harmful. So it's very important that when we want to help others with love and compassion, that we do that supported by wisdom. And so now coming back to our the practice in our sadhana that we use for now doing this practice. This part is on page 57. So it says, whatever joy and happiness there is, all comes from a mind that seeks the benefit of others. Therefore, may all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have a mind of loving kindness. So we spoke previously about these the uncommon preliminaries, and in that context, we had to do a lot of accumulations. So here in the special preliminaries, there actually are no numbers of accumulations. The focus here is the meditation. So to meditate on love. That is, in brief, we meditate on that feeling of, may I be of benefit to all sentient beings. And then we increase that mind more and more. So we meditate on love. So we bring to mind all mother sentient beings, or starting with our parents, as you mentioned before, and then we increase this love. So until it becomes immeasurable, boundless love. Until then, we make this effort, only cultivating, only meditating on love. And all happiness that is to be experienced by gods and humans comes from love. And all suffering that is experienced by the beings in the lower realms comes from a lack of love. So love is the cause of all happiness, also right now. Therefore, it's important to really make an effort in cultivating it, cultivating love for all others. So, so today that completes then the instructions on the first part of the special preliminaries, which is the cultivation of love. And so now maybe today we go back to the questions that we had from the previous weeks. Probably still have quite a few questions that we didn't answer yet. So I hope that I'll be able to answer them today. I'll do my best to go through these questions today.
Samba gomdi ta tinshi te go re sang kadina chulang thamchit.
When you cultivate love, it's important to be mindful, have mindfulness in all activities. How about we go through about 2 questions tonight?
Okay, so the first question, I've put it in the chat. So there's a question. Please teach us how to practice all the Buddhist practices taught by you without any change in our minds, especially for someone who is quite busy with work.
Teni dana kirang kachipe mambo song yore. Teni dana ngasuti sa lega mambo yora chitang. Teni ti dana kirang kachi chama ta lega mambo yope kapla ngune sem gyudo da wa yongela khandazi chegu gudok.
Ta sen gyudo yongona tambo le jinde te yap hako. Tene nambyu jumbar tara samba teranga ge chuyo wa samba te gomdera. Te kindigido. Tutsu midi.
So to really bring about a change in your mind, first of all, you really have to understand karma, and then really on an ongoing basis in whatever you do, you cultivate love. Actually, if you don't have much time to do other practice, that's actually enough.
Penale kale tendisi tesayam kangin damne tesi sawalan ro mro. Tene also le kale san thum tu so parchen ro kangin mangpon tesuna te zupa ya po gom. Tene kangin tesuna rang tsab lama la sowande. Dedo kare chuna le jumde yin pa so sanu tang. Tene ta samba te comfort tang tende chena. Tene pe ndikedo sa.
For example, when you do your work, it's possible that you like run into problems when you do that, or you're not successful in your activity and so on, or maybe you're not getting along with a colleague at work and so on. You have all kinds of problems and obstacles. So in these times, practice patience. So when you encounter difficulties, you should pray to your root guru. And whatever you encounter, whether it is happiness or suffering, really remember karma and increase your love. So that is actually sufficient.
Sawa yapon thun leka yapon dupedana te antini koncho sum ta lama kadin samtini to sala lapa te patana chi tene samba te kon de pertene chi gores.
And then when things are going well and your activities are accomplished, then think that you should cultivate an even greater gratitude towards the 3 jewels and the guru, and an even greater devotion and a pure view, and just on an ongoing basis increase your love.
Okay, so for the second question are the 6 realms of samsara physically in other parts of the universe in their own planets? Apart from animals, what other beings live among us in this planet?
Teni dova rik dok tim setira tanang sa tim tiora ti jiteng kamera teni zamboling tinala ti saka chikra ni sakape mambo yoraba jiteng kamnala teni dova rik dok ti jiteng kam tin nang ki saka pena sakam shamba chinala yor pena dana zamboling sa sakam tirwa teni pena nyarba kam teni yitla kam teni koranso sakam shembachik duwe penang zamboling yoban nangshin teni zamboling telayang tanang so metang tunro thonggu yora teni team member semshin shemba yorebe zamboling ngaranso zamboling tela sakam tela
Ngaranso sakam tela simchi yimba yorebe la ngana to manthong ma
마타 지바니라 cover rig chitang diba tik dawra dotuna cover rig tok derwa ngaranso sakam gangla yorebe yana koranso sakam shemban na yore dotun ti sara
Roa ro de kawa yore la go ro.
pacha da tindaure matsa
Re roa ro de ta nga so jikting ki khamna na yore es. Penna nga so ti mendra ki shepa na yo do. Nyarwa ki na shepa ta na yang na yo go. Penna nyawa ta ra nga so jikting de sa ke ti mi shamma ta penna dorje ting ki ma ya ma pakse ngabya ki shablo le yore es. Te tam do de na te an jikting kham re jikting kham. Penna dara mendar de hi endu teni ujrong chwarda ma pakching abya sa shabla yu ya thokal pakching abya yonde teni thokal ya teni la to do la to ya ndu la ro jachin debye teni simte taksum so ya thokal la thokal yon dara ujrong chwara thokal ya yon do ndo tena lo ro chama dara ngang jing ting khamnan dos 나는 좀 통만 통용 요래 맞아 쨌다 요래
so the 6 realms of samsara they are actually in our world, our planet, we can say. That's explained, for example, in the mandala teachings, also in the teachings that explain the hell realms. For example, it says there that below like in the kind of center of this earth, when you go deep into the earth, it says there that if you there's this measurement 500 yojanas below Bodh Gaya, there is some like hell realm. And also in the mandala teachings, it says that there's Mount Meru that goes 500 yojanas into the ground, and then also 500 yojanas up into the sky. And on the top part, then are the god realms, like the 6 god realms of the desire realms, and like Brahma and Indra and so on. And then there is the god realm of the 33, the highest god realms, and the form realms and so on. So actually, basically all the 6 realms, they are here in this world. It is just that we cannot see all of them directly.
그러면 좀 직딩 comes 따라 동방도 동이바 동숨시엔데 드는 가라도 따라 직딩 comes 로아르도 디나잉게야 직딩 임바야 저저 잠이 요서야 빼는 가라서 동 발문 직딩 시엔데 나랑 가라서 직딩 comes 따라 가라서 디 엔다는 해바나 인시엔데 대답 동직 될더니 동 발문 직딩 시기도 왔어. 대답 동양 대답 동 발문 동직 될 동 숨지 동 진보지 시기도 너는 단 직딩这잠이 요서야. 배대나 이신카면这잠이 되죠. 요거도 왔어.
But then, so we have this world, but also we speak about this kind of universe that we're in. But then actually we speak about the billionfold universe. So the third order, 1,000-fold universe, which each of these then has the 6 realms represented within them. And so just like our world that we have here, there is actually limitless, countless worlds. So there is worlds of the like there's a first order 1,000-fold universe, which is 1,000 of these universes, and then the intermediate, the second order universe, 1,000-fold universe, is that when you take these 1,000 to be one, and then multiplied by 1,000, so basically it's 1,000 by 1,000, then you have this intermediate universe, and then you take this 1,000 by 1,000 and take it as one, so multiply that again by 1,000, and then you have the third order, the great 1,000-fold universe. And so it's limitless basically, and in each of these worlds you have the 6 realms. And also likewise, just as there are limitless worlds, there's also limitless pure lands. Did this answer address the question?
Oh yeah, that's why you must be. That's why you
Another question? Maybe one more question?
Okay, one more question.
Ma Andren Rampa in the road.
Just go one by one in order.
Are the hell realms also present on Earth? But it is just that we do not have the perception of their presence.
Didn't lapse, sorry. The near come the young Zambolin can like your ways, Tangas Tongma Tongma. What did they lapse Mara?
Nyakam the Jutan, go here, pass in and Nyakam that suck Yamni Paxing up Bishabla you, and here to us. Go here, Yena young Adam Tomataba, the near coming use it is. Don't near us, don't have Sanji much of a young do attend near Lagos. Penang so that Mandauti Chayaban, people Chayana, Condor do chat someone to you. Makahil Hatang with the Nichadogola, Ne Nata, Dona Sanji Machapayor, Nirwana year, the tinted. Kahila Tape Sergeant Tungi Mani, the Mogan Chato Tigong Nane, with Yadana Yi Dongayer. Kahila Tara Mantok Tang, Mari Kahila Taratini, Yingetini, Pena, Zungkang La Sobala, the name Magichin, not you, Malan, not you, Taya, to Yorova. You don't know here. Kaki manto lasso batapa, Donga Mambo Yorova, Lama in a year. Kakila, Teni, Deji Kimbo Yoros, Macetel Deji Kona Teni, Lula Natashidami, Matsikibo, and Manchandra, young Kaki Yoros, fly na year. Makahila young that something not something Deva Donga, come answer Mahakorova, though didn't answer Murua. Data Dodina, answer the water dog don't have the Malaya here, so those.
So in the teachings on the hell realms, it is explained that there is this kind of physical hell realm, which is like this 500 yojanas below the ground, but then there it is also possible for there to be a kind of hellish existences that we maybe cannot see as an actual like place or realm, but basically what we call hell is an existence with an incredible, unbearable amount of suffering. And for this reason, it is actually said that the 6 realms of samsara actually are present in the human world too. For example, in one human being, one human world, we have the 6 realms of samsara because it's the suffering we speak about. So for example, there are some people who are always sick and they are in a lot of pain, which is really just like hell. So that's really like a hellish existence. And then there's others who are starving and who can't find any food or drink. And that's just like a hungry spirits. And then there is some who are enslaved by others and who are used for their labor. And these are just like a cattle or animal. And then there's others who suffer from constant wars and fighting. And that's just like the jealous god, the demigods. And then there are some human beings who are always happy and they're never sick and they die in complete happiness. And that's just like a god realm. And then of course there's the human realm, which we all are familiar with. Sometimes we are human beings. Sometimes we experience kind of a mix. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we suffer, sometimes we are sick, sometimes we are healthy. So we know about the human existence. So it is said that the suffering of the 6 realms is present in the human realm.
Oh yeah, the Gonte, and eating on some one of some shows.
So then let's stop here for tonight and do dedication.
It was the Sunny Nani.
We will continue to answer all the questions the next few sessions.
May every being aligned with disease be free at once from every malady. May all the sickness that afflicts the living be instantly and permanently healed. In my home, marvelous in the center is the Buddha Amitabha, boundless light. To his right is Chenrezig, the Lord of great compassion, and to his left is the Bodhisattva Vajrapani, the Lord of great power. They are surrounded by an inconceivable assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, extraordinary, limitless peace and happiness in the Buddha field called bliss endowed. When I and all beings pass from this life, may we be born there unhindered by another samsaric birth. Once born there, may we behold the face of the Buddha Amitabha boundless light. By the power of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, bless me that I may attain this aspiration without hindrance. Teata Pensadriya Awa Bodhanaya Soha. May Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, arise where it has not been, where its arisen may not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. The three jewels and three roots, trustworthy, source of refuge, and in particular the Lord of the land of snow, Avalokiteshvara, Jasuntara, Guru Pama Sambhava, I supplicate you. Please follow your previous pledges. Bestow blessings that this aspiration prayer may be fulfilled most perfectly. Due to the degeneration of times when thoughts and deeds of beings are perverted and the inner and outer elements have lost their balance, men and cattle are seized by epidemic disease previously unheard of, including Rahus, Nagas, powerful demons and dark forces, blight, frost and hail, bad harvest, warfare, and so forth, erratic rainfall, heat, misery, and droughts in the world, destruction in the elements such as earthquakes and the threat of fire, and in particular, barbaric offenses causing harm to the teachings are rampant. May all types of harm and injury around the world be swiftly pacified and overcome. May precious and supreme bodhicitta spontaneously arise in the mind streams of all beings, human and non-humans, and may they be free from destructive thoughts and deeds. May all be endowed with a loving mind for one another, and may well-being, glory, and prosperity prevail throughout the world. May the Buddha's teachings spread far and wide and never last. By the truthful power of the three roots, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by any roots of virtue existing in samsara and nirvana, and by the power of our perfectly pure highest intention, may the fruition of our supplication and aspiration be attained. By this virtue, may I attain the all-knowing state, and by defeating all enemies, confusion the cause of suffering, may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara, in order to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality as it is, and just like Samattabhadra as well, I completely dedicate all this goodness just as they did. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging, changeless nature, by the blessing of the indivisible assembly of the Sangha, may these prayers be accomplished as I have dedicated, by the virtuous accumulations of the three times of myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana. And by these roots of virtue, may I and all sentient beings swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. In this pure realm surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefits and happiness without exception. All powerful Avalokiteshvara, Tenzin Gyatso, may you stay firmly until the end of samsara. You are the embodiment of all the precious ones. You, a great being, are the holder and promoter of the teachings of the Shakya lion. Your perfect actions are for the liberation of sentient beings. May you, the Jetsun Lama, whose enlightened activities are spontaneously present, live long. Precious holder of the triple gem of Jigongpa, who preserves the indisputable practice of the profound Dharma, who has realized the sublime truth which reveals peace and illumination. May you, who relieve the suffering of our limitless beings, live long. The one known in the Holy Land as Ara Deva, animated in the Garkhan of Eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the hot son of Jigten Samgun. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. In this age of strife, when the victor's teaching faces hardship, through his powerful Vajra-like discipline and vows, he takes on himself the heavy responsibility of the unbiased teaching. May Garchen, the son of teaching, live long. I pray that my Lama may have good health and long life, that his Dharma activities spread far and wide, and that I will never be separated from him. In all the activities of the glorious Lama, may doubt never enter my mind for a moment. May I be able to see the purity of all your actions, and with deepest devotion, I pray that your blessings enter my mind. May all sentient beings have happiness, and may all the world realms be emptied. May the aspiration of all the bodhisattvas of the different bhumis be fulfilled accordingly. May the teaching of the great Jigongpa Ratnasri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara.
O mane be me hon Thank you very much, everybody. Chahidele. See you again, everyone.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Rinpoche. Good night.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Coachella, thank you so much for your teachings. Thank you.
Thank
Rinpoche.
you, Rinpoche.
Om Benza Sato Samaya Manupalaya Benza Sato Tenopa Tishari no Mebawa Soto Kayo Mebawa Soto Chayo Mebawa Anarato Mebawa Sarva Siddhe Me Parayetsa Sarva Karma Susame Siddham Shiyam Kuruhum Aha Ho Bangave Sarvata Tagata Bezama Mimza Bezabhavama Samaya Sato